Jim Moginie, welcome back to Australian Musician.
Thanks, Greg. Nice to be here.
We're talking to you because you've got a brand new album coming out with your band, The Family Dog, called Thunk on December 12. You played with various musicians over the years. Is The Family Dog a vehicle just to play your songs live, or is it more of a collaborative process even in the songwriting?
Yes, it's definitely the second one. The dog has a funny nature to it. You can't really bring a song in because it doesn't. We're better when we just play and then you put the songs on later. So it's a bit like you get a good musical tapestry going, you get a riff going, you get sort of some music going. A lot of it happens in editing, but the nature of the band's playing is that this is actually the very room we're in now. We all record in this room with that no separation, amps, drums, everything, and you can't separate any of it. So if you wanted to take a guitar out and start finessing it, you can't. So that hairiness then is retained within it, and then you have this sort of glue, but also this kind of authenticity to the sound of it. It's all live and played with all the things with music. It's something I learned from the producer Glyn Johns actually, where he said if you all record at the same time, you're capturing a live performance. But if you overdub something on that performance, you're being affected by the performance, but the performers aren't being affected by you. So there's a very subtle difference between all being in the room and doing it and even struggling to do it than just coming back later and spending hours and hours sort of doing some solo over it that really you could have done when you played the song in the first place. I've always had trouble as a musician in playing the same thing twice. I'm much better if I just do it the first time and then not out of laziness, but I just get it more in the ballpark when I do it like that than labouring over it, you know.
Was that the way the Oils recorded as well?
We learnt that way. We brought up with that, you know, with tape, you know, so you couldn't edit anything when you could a little bit, but it would take a long time. So you're better off to play the whole thing beginning to end. When Glenn recorded the band, Password to Postcard was the album. He had a red light that would come on when if the performance wasn't up to scratch, he wouldn't say anything. The red light would come on. You have to stop, back it up, and do it all again. And everyone had to get it right at the same time. So that's just old school, really. I mean, there wasn't any choice in those days. But I think actually it's better anyway because I've done a lot of records where you've overdubbed, and you just lose it gets this sheen about it that a live interaction that happens. It's about respecting that, and that's what the dog kind of does. That's why the songs don't. I mean, there might be little ideas for songs that come in, but it's more about playing something together. Group art. It's more like an art thing than a kind of a let's get a song on the charts thing. You know, which I'm not sure we ever will get a song on the charts, but it's and also sort of honouring that Australian rock sound that we all come from. You know, the Celibate Rifles, Paul and Kent are from the Celibate Rifles, and they cut their teeth in the pubs in Australia more in the 80s than the 70s that we did, but they have that kind of beat. You know, it's that sort of upright kind of drum groove, and it's very Australian the sound of it. And there's usually two guitars, and we all grew up. I mean, probably Kent more with the MC5 and the Detroit sound, but I certainly grew up with bands like the Masters Apprentices and that kind of thick Australian guitar sound that I've maybe talked about in the last interview, but that lost Australian guitar sound where people used none of the amps that you use overseas. They were Australian made and they were kind of grunty and nasty. The
Yeah.
first record I ever bought was 510 Man by the Masters Apprentices. If you listen to that, that's the sound of Doug Ford's guitar is the sound I'm talking about. It's very rude and it's not nice and it's very loud, but it's thick and it's got sort of real sinew in it. You know, that's what we're going for with the dog. We have that as well. So, I think it's honouring the Australian sort of guitar sound from that era, but not being in it. Just sort of honouring that sort of slabs of riff thing that can make a song great. I think good riffs are good things.
Yeah. So, in that way, what's the actual starting point for a Family Dog song?
Well, we just get in a room. I mean, I don't even know how it works. We're all in here. We had a few screens, the minimal screens, and we just start playing. And you'd have a lot of stuff that was just terrible, but other things you'd listen back to it, and it's like low resolution activity when you do it. You don't judge it. We had 2 days of just playing, didn't even think about what we were doing really, and then you come back and then you look at it more with a high resolution activity with a microscope and go, so that bit was really good. Why don't we use that? And why don't we? Or this bit over here could go with that bit. A little bit like songwriting, but just with editing things sections together. And we would never replay anything. We would just use those performances. So it wasn't. It was very backwards the way we did it, like in terms of how records are made now, with Ableton and with plugins and soft synths and things. It's more to do with hard recordings. And we recorded onto real recording tape, 16 track 2 inch, and mixed it to half inch too. So in order to sort of get that kind of sound, that sort of slightly, you know, spread sound that analog can give you, not that hard digital thing.
So do you and Ken have defined roles with the guitar parts?
No, I mean he probably the only thing we'd do is he'd back off if I was doing something and I'd back off if he was doing something, and we wouldn't. Nothing's ever discussed. It's like we don't. Um, I'm the lead guitarist or I'm the rhythm guitarist. It's very much swappable, and I'm kind of the singer on most of them. And then the band actually got together very probably in 2005 or six when I'd had my first solo record, Alas Folkloric, and I went out and got some really good session musicians. I had Mike Iveson, Alexander Hewitson, uh, Trent Williamson, and Tim Kevin, who's actually in the dog now. And we various people, Susie, my girlfriend, was singing, and everything was, like professional. But then I kind of missed this sort of thing where Ken and I went up to a garage, my mum's garage in Turramurra, and he brought Paulie up and I brought Tim up. And we just played together, and instantly it was looser, it was more exploratory, it was more improvisational than the nothing wrong with the professional thing at all. But I preferred to be able to sort of stretch out. It reminded me of being in the oils, which didn't exist at that time because Pete had gone into politics. So I had to find a new way of doing it. And that really felt natural to me to be with a band that was, like a real band that would decide you just look at each other and things could change in length, or, you could, someone sings and then everything drops in volume or whatever it is, I think it's, so that's the sort of band it is really. The nature of it. It's a dogged beast, the dog.
Yeah. So did you use many guitars on the album?
No, I think I just used, Ken's got everyone knows he plays like an Epiphone Crestwood or a Wiltshire, with one with a P90, single P90, another one with two mini humbuckers. Same guitar basically, very light, but he always sounds the same. Doesn't matter what amp he uses. I probably used a Gretsch. I probably used my Gretsch White Falcon, the Chris Chaney model, which I love, and probably an old Jazz Master that I use, which I love. I can't actually tell when I listen to what guitar it is because it's kind of like personal preference guitars. I think the amps make more of a difference than the guitars do, to be honest with you.
Uh, did you prepare a specific pedal board for these sets?
No, my pedalboard philosophy is very much what's happening at the time. I mean, I might have even been playing with the ACO the week before, and I'd have a delay pedal. I'd have maybe a vibrato. I might have a H3000, that Eventide one, and little mini one, and maybe some sort of overdrive. But I wouldn't ever maybe a compressor. But that's it. And then maybe a whammy if I'm being adventurous. I'd always use a whammy with the ACO. So I think I'd just grab whatever I had at the time and just use that. It's not really going to make a lot of difference. It'll always sound like I don't really have preferences. I'll just use anything really. I mean, I'm a bit of a magpie like that.
What about Kent?
He's got a few things. I don't know quite what they are. I think he's got some digital delay thing that's quite old, and what else has he got? He's got something that overdrives everything a lot. and that he uses that a lot. I'm not the sort of, or neither see got the people who go on YouTube and sort of listen to two guys in a room comparing different eras of the same pedal with the same guitar and sitting there for an hour going, I can't tell the difference between any of them. But it seems to be the thing these days that there's pedal fetishists, and it has to be the one that with the old one or the new one or talking about the Noble, is it the Noble OB1 OD1? There's an old version, a new version. Probably the old one sounds better, but you can't find them and they're really expensive. You just get the new one and then make it sound good. I mean, it's all in your fingers, I think, in the end of the day. I think there's a lot of pedalboard envy. No, envy's not the right word. Pedalboard fear. You have to have the right pedal to be any good. I think Caveman, the guy who he's worked with Jimmy Barnes, is a bit of a friend of mine. He used to say the older you get, the more pedals you get, and the more shit you sound. When you start, you have it no pedals. It's all in your fingers. There's really something in that. And I remember going out with the Oils the last time, and I had a 5 foot long pedal board because I was trying to replicate all of the different sounds from all the different albums, and there's been a lot. An Ibanez flanger for this, and a Coron tremolo for that, or a sort of whammy, or I mean, it's just like ridiculous. It was ridiculous, but I thought I owed it to the fans to actually deliver the correct kind of sound and sonic thing. But I think at the end of the day, everyone's jumping up and down. They're not really listening that closely. They're listening to if they're more, if you smile, they like that. Or if you jump in the air, that might make more of a difference than if you're using an OD1 that from the 60s or the one that was like, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it's all in your hands, really.
Uh,
Listen to someone like Mark Knopfler or Dave Gilmour. It's not, they use a lot of effects. I mean, Gilmour does, but it's all in his hands.
mm,
Every bend, everything, Jeff Beck, all in his hands. I don't know what he used, but no one would sound like that if they had the same gear. No one could ever sound like that. So,
no.
gear schmear.
Let's talk about some tracks. I love the irony of track two. I've got things to say. Midnight Oil always had a lot of things to say, and you too with your solo material. That track is quite amusing because it doesn't say much at all.
No, no,
It's
but the other songs do.
it's got a great groove to it. What was the thinking behind that title?
Well, I kind of had the chorus actually. So the only one I think I had any idea what bringing something in, and it we wanted to put a vocal on the basically the chorus. I've got things to say about things today, and then we'll put a vocal on the chorus. But we couldn't think of anything to write anything, so we just got. This is an industrial area where I am. I just went out and recorded an angle grinder with my iPhone, and then brought that in and put it through a tremolo unit, and that's the lead vocal in the verse. So it sounds like someone going, and that's really says more than if saying a lot. But the rest of the songs are pretty about current affairs. There's one there about the Ukraine. This is Modern War, which is about the feeling of being in a place like Kiev when you're outnumbered and they're coming for you, but you're still there trying to do what you do, and you can't get out, and what that must feel like, and that feeling of paranoia and kind of sort of slightly scratchy. There's sort of this uncomfortable thing in the sound that kind of probably inspired the lyrics. I'm very I've said this before, but I'm quite good friends with George Gitos, the filmmaker, and he went into Kiev when the Russians were coming. Everyone else was going in the other direction, but he came in and made art with all the people that were there and tried to sort of it made a very good film called Ukraine Guernica. And he just described a lot of that, what it felt like, and that's where a lot of the song came from.
Yeah.
Him and Helen.
Another track 5G. I suppose society throws things upon us that we really have no say in, but we're affected by it.
Yeah, it certainly does. You've got to deal with all these technological changes. What happened to the good old fax machine? But yeah, I think you've got the risk of sounding like an old fart. When you start complaining about all this stuff. But which I probably am. But 5G, there's a lot of dangers in it, and Kent is very, very tuned into that whole thing with 5G. And, 5G, it's better than four, better than three. So it must be better, you see. But so, we can download faster through this disaster. I think it's a sort of we just want more and more and more and faster speeds because we're so online the way we live. And that's a choice. It's like a lot of people I know just carry their music around on a USB stick. They don't even stream because they think it's unethical. And one of the things we're doing with this record is we're just releasing it on physical, um, on actually cassette and record and on CD. In as a protest against what's happening with the streaming services and what they seem to be doing in music in terms of kind of surrounding the whole culture of the way people consume their music, getting everyone hooked in and engaged, and then also investing in AI harvesting, which is really out there so they don't even have to pay musicians anything, not even the pittance they're paying them now, and then which is means they can eliminate musicians altogether. I mean, I think that's going to kill the music industry and people won't know the difference as the stuff gets better. That really worries me, and I think people's the inherent copyright in a song or in a sound. It's a funny area. It's probably over-regulated in some ways, but I think you have to really think about these things and how are you going to live your life? How are you going to consume music? Are you just going to keep going with a service that is also making war machines and that are killing people? I mean, when it all started, we were all, yeah, this is great. We signed up in good faith thinking, yeah, we can put up a song and it'll be online all over the world like in a minute. I mean, what a dream come true that was. But that was sort of the lure of it. And now we're all engaged with it. Now they're putting the thumb screws on. And I think, there's got to be a bit of a kickback towards that because they have to know that people aren't happy. Musicians aren't happy. The very thing that is feeding their machine is being killed. And it's also the flow on from that into budgets on records. There aren't budgets anymore. Companies don't really even pay for records anymore. Um, they're more concerned with merchandise, and they're more concerned with it's really changed, and I think it's something that you have to kind of question. I mean, I think my daughter said to me the other day, she said, I've broken up with my phone, Dad. I think people get to that point where they just get so tired of it and the way they receive their news that's being filtered or being curated in a certain way that they don't even know what the bias is and how you're being sold something sometimes when you think you're getting some news. So, which people aren't even aware of. And I think if you, someone said the other day, if you listen to the news, you get angry. If you go and sit by a tree, under a tree, you get really happy. I think that's a choice you can make.
Yeah.
People get so anxious with this stuff and it's a choice, but you're addicted. And that's the whole thing. They want to keep you engaged. And
Yeah.
something that people have to question. I mean, everyone will be different. I'm not a moral paragon here. Everyone has their own way of dealing with it, but you've got to think about it. Otherwise, you if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything or whatever it is. So that's why we're doing what we're doing with it. We might put it on Bandcamp later, to because it seems to be a pretty musician-friendly platform. Although I think it's changed ownership, but we'll see.
Yeah. Another track, Satan and the Chosen People, quite a heavy track. What are the heavy bands that you're into?
I like Tool. I like Rage Against the Machine. I like sort of big riff bands. I like Nirvana had great riffs. I mean, I think it's this again back to that sort of slabs of riff, the Australian guitar sound thing. That kind of turn up your radio's got a great riff in it. There's sort of, but that song Satan and the Chosen People is very much soft, loud. So you kind of drop down into this very quiet, very atmospheric verse, and then when the chorus comes on, your ears just get obliterated. That's the whole plan. You turn it up for the quiet bit, and then when it comes to the loud bit, it's like like. So we're not dealing with pleasantries here, Greg. We're sort of like trying to sort of bend people's heads. I think it's more fun that way.
Yeah. The First Amendment is probably the most Midnight Oil sounding track on the album to me. I guess if you were working on an oils album, that might be one you would put forward to the band.
Yeah, I would. I mean, that one's about Julian Assange and the way that the First Amendment, which is protect freedom of speech, is just now being, given, the lip service. I think what happened to him was kind of shocking, and you can say anything you want about him, and I know people, my friends, who just thought he should be killed. I'm like, hang on, he's a journalist. He was reporting. He got given the information. I mean, he dug to get the information. There's no doubt about that. But it's people like that I think are rare. That will stand up like that. I mean, he would have died unless he made that bargain to get out of there. He would have died. I mean, what sort of choice is that? Death or freedom to live the rest of your life the way you want? I think he's a bit of a hero for me.
Mm.
So I think, yeah, it could be. The lyrics on the album are quite midnight oil-ish, I think, and some of the music to me as well. It kind of harks back to our early stuff. Again, this Australian thing of maybe our first album, which was pretty loose and loose as a goose, and but a bit hair, fur bearing, as they say.
Yeah.
Not kind of polished or commercialized. It's that era of the band where we were just get in a room and just start playing, and we again that's how the all started writing songs. We get a good riff or a good section or a good melody, and then Rob would go and write some words, or Peter write some words, and we just cobble it together like that. In a way, the process is very familiar to me. How we made this record.
You mentioned Rob, 100 Years or More is the new EP with Rob
Yeah.
and Hamish. Came in at number 1 on the singles chart or the ARIA chart. I don't know what that means
No, I don't know what it means either.
these days, but that must be a nice feeling.
Well, I think it's to do with physical sales. I mean, I'm not sure how they calculate it, but it was a great honour to have that. People liked it and they bought it, and then I think it's a beautiful record. And Rob's struggling with his health at the moment, so we we all just came in and in a nice atmosphere, made the thing pretty quickly. And Rob's songs are always just great, and he's got them all totally worked out. And he just went in and sang them and played them live. Hamish played the drums in this room as well. This is Oceanic Studio, I probably mentioned before. Give it a plug. And I just do whatever I engineered, or Chad Howard did some engineering on it as well, who works here. And his two daughters, Rob's two daughters, sang on it. And there's some so very touching songs, and it's someone who's dealing with kind of a terminal issue with their health, writing songs, but the songs don't feel gloomy. They don't feel like they're like there's a certain wistfulness about it, but it's also quite celebratory. You can sort of sing along, and it's quite joyful. The embracing what life and what it actually is all about, not about the gloomy part of it. It's like make use of the time you've got, because it is a limited supply, and it doesn't go on forever.
Yeah,
So it's a beautiful record. I really, I just get emotional just thinking about it. Rob's such a dear friend, and I do anything for the guy. We've been together since, we've been together for, since we were 15.
yeah,
So it was
yeah,
it's been a big life together. We've all learned so much from the band, and everyone in the band's the same. We're all brothers, and, the band was a mighty educational process. We never, it was a really big learning thing for all of us. All the good things and the bad things all the difficult things that happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
How would you describe Rob's drumming, and how different can it be playing with Rob and then somebody else?
Um, Rob uh, has done some drumming with the Backsliders. I think they did some shows a couple of weeks ago, but he doesn't seem to have the same power. So he's just playing a lighter thing and a skiffly. With the Backsliders, it's fine. It works really well. But style wise, I mean, Rob just leads with his kick, and the snares just crashing. He's very loud, but has this incredible driving beat that no one else has. He's one of the great drummers. He's like a Rob Hirst. He's just so powerful the way he approaches it. And the song's very related to the way he gets connected with his drum parts. Hamish Stewart, if people don't know, wonderful drummer who plays with everybody. And from Ross Wilson to Leo Sayer to, you know, I'm just trying to think of all of Sharon Shannon. I mean, he's played with all sorts of people and or everybody, and everybody knows Hamish. But he's a good friend of Rob's. Since he moved over to Manly, Rob and him have become really good friends, and I've become good friends with him too. Rob, Rob and Hamish have this sort of drum, speak, which is this sort of silent language of, just raise an eyebrow, Oh, I think the tom tom, oh yeah, yeah, and then they just put a bit of dampening on it, or but Hamish tunes his drums beautifully every time, and so I think they really like working with each other. I think it's a real trust situation between us all, and we know that the it's all about just getting something good in the end of the day,
Yeah,
and we have a good time doing it. It's not doom and gloom at all. It's just a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughing and drinking of crappy coffee and various things. So, and beautiful songs. I mean that when you have a beautiful song like Rob brings in, it's very easy to make it work.
yeah.
You can't really stuff it up. Mm.
Um, Last time we spoke, we were talking about Bill Frisell, uh,
Yeah.
who, since we've spoken, I saw him perform about a month or so ago.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I missed it. Someone told me he was on. I was like, oh no, I didn't know. It's one of those.
I've never experienced a guitar playing like that. He's so quirky. He's like an awkward science teacher, but just
Well, he learnt with Jim Hall, but he's done the Jim Halls. I guess are more what you'd like a classic jazz guitar player. But Bill's just with the little effects he uses and little touches and sustaining notes through other phrases. Somehow, there's some sorcery going on with him. I can't, Did you find that when you saw it?
yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah.
couldn't really kind of figure out how he was doing it, like how many eggs
Well,
he put in
and,
the cake.
and one song would blend into another, and before you'd have one song in your mind, and before you know it, you're into another song, and you think, how did I get here?
Yeah, he's one of the greats. He really is. He's sublime. It's like music. It's not. I think you get to a point with that when you're not in a genre anymore. You might call him a jazz player. He's probably more a jazz player than a blues player, but he's just a great musician. And I don't think people would call. I think someone called Hamish a jazz drummer. He really didn't like that. He's a musician. It's like jazz schmaz. It's just a label that kind of probably means that the music's free and a bit unguarded. It doesn't mean that it's like unlistenable. Like a lot you think might some people might think jazz is. It's just good music, and that's certainly what Bill Frisell does. I'm so glad you got to see him. I told the story last time. I think it was the perfect guitar solo. I think I was sitting next to a friend of mine. I think that was it.
Another guitar player we mentioned was Jan Ackerman. You'll be pleased to know that he's got a new, or you may even know already, a new live album coming out
Yes, like the
early.
North Sea one.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, it's called My Focus, Live Under the Rainbow. It's his interpretation of focus songs.
Well, guess what? I saw him playing a few months ago I flew to Holland to see him playing.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm a total tragic, and it was a club. It was maybe 70 or 80 people there. He was having a ball. I got really, the last time I saw him, I didn't like it much because the sound wasn't very good. But this one, we just got right up the front. Like I was a real fanboy. I was just standing there going, and he's old now. He's 70. I think he's 70, 10 years older than I am. So 78, 9. And he was still wonderful and made a lot of mistakes, but he didn't care. Like it was just beautiful. Like it was just rough. The band was good. They were cooking along and they were really comfortable with each other. So it was, he's still out there doing it. He doesn't, there's no limit to this. You can just keep going until you drop. I think that's the mantra, I think.
Yeah, I've been talking to a couple of promoters, urging them to bring him down here, but
Have you?
don't
Well,
think
we
that.
should get involved in that. I have met him and I did talk to him about doing that. And it was a while back though. I didn't get to talk to him this time, but yeah, he said, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll come down. I come down. You'll just get it. Yeah, tell me, and I'll come." And I'm like, "All right," but we better hurry up. I think
Yeah,
But he's great. He'd have a good crowd here too because I think the people that saw Focus in Australia, especially the first time they played were just totally, genuinely gobsmacked. They couldn't quite believe what they were seeing. I was certainly one of them. And, you know, yeah, he's really special. He's really still is, and he's quirky, and he's maverick, and he's still got it. He's still got it, man.
What about you? Have you got any bucket list projects, things in the back of your mind you've always wanted to do, but just haven't got
Well,
there?
I'm sort of ticking them up pretty regularly now. I mean, I've written a book. I made a solo guitar record. I did made a very minimal piano record last year, and then this year with the dog, which is a fully blown, Oz rock experience, and we're going to go and play next year too in February and March around Australia. So go and get some tickets if you want to come and see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's. I never really know quite what I'm going to do next. I don't have any plan. I'm too I'm not. I might be slightly ADHD. I'm not sure about that. The jury might be out on that, but I'm certainly not. I'd be a very hard person to manage in terms of a career because in a way I'm very lucky with the oils. I don't really have to do anything I don't want to do. I can just follow whatever path seems right. And at the time, often I don't even know. One of the records I made, I didn't know I'd even made it. I just came back later and listened to the tapes and I thought, I should put that out because it's actually really takes you to a place, and I think that's artists always create worlds that they want to live in. I think that's really what it's about. I never, I don't really have to think about chart positions, even though the thing with Rob went to number one, which I was so chuffed about and so proud of it and so proud for Rob that his songs have achieved that. And, just the stuff we do together, it's been honoured. But I don't really have that. I'm a bit more maverick. As I said to John Watson, who manages Midnight Oil, I said, why don't you manage me? But in the same breath, I said, I'm unmanageable. You can't manage me. And he'd go, you know, but it's great. And I'm very lucky and I'm very blessed to be able to do it. And I don't have any idea what I could do. I could, if and if I did know, I wouldn't tell you because I wouldn't want to jinx it, if I did do it. It's like magic can't be manufactured. You just got to kind of somehow get into a situation where you can make stuff and then don't give the game away to yourself. Do it sometimes in an unguarded way that it's being surreptitiously. Your mind's not even connected to the process. I think that's kind of what jazz is in a way. I mean, maybe that's where I'm heading. I don't know, whatever that means, jazz, whatever it means. But it seems to be the freer the music is, the more I seem to like it.
Yeah.
Mm.
As you said, you're out on the road February, March with the family dog. A lot of the songs have potential to really jam out. Will that be the intention?
The dog, yeah, that's it. That's what the dog is. I mean, we extemporize on the spot. It it's not all jammy like unlistenable. It's more we'll try and make it fun along the way. And we're kind of a dance band, really. I think we're a band that you can come into some room and Paulie's got this great backbeat. I think that really gets people moving along and we might have slightly higher production values this time than other times we've come out slightly. And so it should sound good. And so yeah, it is that more uh, not necessarily playing songs note for note. We probably couldn't if we tried. We just get, we'll have our lyrics, we'll have our structure and arrangement, but it can bend for sure. Like as it just comes alive and it's launched. Once we hear it coming back, why don't we just make this bit go on longer? Why don't we? So yeah. So it sounds a bit hippie-ish, but it's not actually. It's quite a just a really good punchy little rock band. I think that's what we are. Dance band. That's it.
The album Thunk is out December 12th. You're
Yep.
out on the road February, March, Jimmy.
That's us. Yeah, Thunk. It's coming out through thunkthealbum.com. You can order it, and it's coming out through Songland Records, and they'll deliver it all around the world. Frog is the guy's name, and he's a nice fella. And yeah, it just seems that we're just on this sort of little peak with it, and people seem to be liking it. So someone said the Midnight Oil album you have when you don't have a Midnight Oil album. Well, that was nice, but
Yeah.
It does have echoes of things. It's definitely, not directly, but you can never kind of recreate that kind of thing. That's a chemistry between five people that can never be repeated, I think. But yeah, we're doing our own little humble version of whatever we're doing. So yeah, come and see it.
Well, Jim, it's been great to catch up, and
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, great to see you. You're looking pretty well, and
I'm
trying
trying.
to read all your books there in the back there. I can see a Stratocaster, a cold chisel. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can see. Oh, I think I know. What's that one there?
Yeah. Mombasa book.
Oh, what is that? The mentals book or the one about the mentals?
Reggie's art book. Yeah.
Oh God, he's genius, absolute genius.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff there.
All right, mate. Beautiful. Thanks for talking, and yeah,
All right. All the
go
best.
well, my friend. Yeah, more listen to some Bill Frisell as we switch off. Yeah.
All right. See you, mate.
Good on you, mate. Take care.